Is Venus the planet of love? Well, we can look at it from a philosophical or an astrological perspective. And this video will probably make a lot of lovers of the so-called pop astrology very upset. Venus is not the planet of love. If anything, the major guiding principle of this planet is choice. Why is it so? If we look into psychology and recall the works of Sigmund Freud, and especially his description of libido and mortido, this is more or less what Venus is about, in my perspective, and let me explain why. You see, Venus rules the so-called seventh house. Seventh house is the house of open enemies, apart from partners with whom we build our life. And if we look further into some of the political events that had happened within the past several decades, where we have exact dates and times of when country A invaded country B, we will see a very strong correlation between Venus and the actual events that were happening. For example, back in 2020, I have predicted the unfortunate war between Russia and Ukraine. The war started and happened during the period when Venus was going retrograde. Actually, it was in the loop, coming back from its retrograde position. You can watch some of the interviews that I have given back then in 2020, and the dates were pretty much confirmed. With the only exception, I mentioned that the military operation will start on the 16th of February, and instead it was postponed and started just a few days later. Well, Venus is not the planet of love. Why? We have to consider the facts. In astrology, Venus is considered to be a female planet. And it means that instead of acting out, it attracts things, events, and people. Not only it is female planet, which is in classical astrology, forgive me, California, is considered passive planet. This is an example of internal planet, and astronomy explains it very well. We would also have to consider the degree, the direction, the house the Venus is in, and also the astrological sign. So you watching the videos about Venus in Aquarius and Venus in Sagittarius bring very little if you don't have the other parts of this fundamental knowledge integrated into your analysis. Now, let's take an example of Venus in Sagittarius. You would have to know what is the ruling planet for Sagittarius, and it is Jupiter. That means that virtually anyone with Venus in the sign of Sagittarius would tend to make their choices based on what's popular, based on what's in trend. They are being led by brand. You can say so. However, I would encourage everyone to study the so-called chain of disposition. It will give you a greater understanding of what facets Venus is showing to the owner of such Venus. So, why Venus is not the planet of love? The main principle of Venus, in my perspective, is choice, the way we feel connected to things, the way we choose what dress to wear or what person to talk to. This is our libido, the subconscious driving force of our decisions. Let's consider an example. Someone with the sun in the sign of Capricorn let's say in the 7th house, has Venus in Aquarius in the 8th house. Now, consciously, this person might think, I want a solid, stable partner with a promotion perspective and a nice job. However, their Venus goes into a different direction, and it chooses someone, let's say, not because of his blue eyes or green eyes and blonde hair, or maybe the kind of Porsche he or she is driving, but it chooses the person who is emotionally unavailable or who is not willing to commit in the long term. Remember, the driving force of, let's say, Capricornian sun is to get a status, some kind of symbol, whether it's marriage certificate or a big diamond ring. Well, Capricornian sun might get very disappointed because the Venus in Aquarius in the 8th house, this is just an example, chooses to be attracted to unattainable, unavailable objects, persons, people, places, institutions, you name it. So try to look at this planet and its principle from a different perspective. Next time you ask someone, where's your Venus? And them telling you, my Venus is in Scorpio. Well, tells you very little actually, because the true psychological assessment analysis, astrological assessment and analysis can be only done when you look at their natal chart, when you know the meaning of degrees, the houses, the chain of disposition, the chain of command. And only then you can gain an understanding and an insight into what and how this person tends to choose. Venus and Mars are considered to be the so-called libido planets, as I call them. And maybe we can talk about Mars next time. Now, I encourage you to look at your Venus and realize how you choose in life. Venus and Mars, I call them the libido planets, and they are the driving force of our choice. Venus is more passive, it attracts things. We might consciously think, no, I don't want an unattainable partner. However, our Venus chooses for us. Now, the advantage of psychoanalysis and astrology mixed together is very clear from this point of view. If you know the driving force, the motivation of an individual, and the choices he or she makes, despite of what their conscious mind is telling them, is a very powerful tool. And maybe you can help yourself and others by looking at your Venus and assessing what is your Venus choosing for you.